Right, but if you see him
But in any given moment,
like a valet where a
we out
black
there
person
chilling
comes up,
by the
nigga.
by the garage, and the guy that's been here that feels like this is his neighborhood.
Right.
He feels like he has the okay and he's doing the right thing by who are you? What are you doing? Oh, how long you guys moved over here? Do you own the place? Are you renting? Whereas in our community, that's very offensive and it ain't none of your goddamn
It's
business.
it's intrusive. You
It's
ain't gonna,
true.
you
Like,
don't just
who are
fucking
you?
ask people
Now,
that question.
another caveat to that is to another person that he feels that he's not superior to, he doesn't do that. He's not going to ask you all your personal business because let's face it, they're the ones that set these so-called rules in society. This is their culture that we're mimicking. So when they say, so if it's rude to us and intrusive, when you're talking to a person that you don't feel like you're inferior to, or are they're inferior to you, you don't speak to them like that.
No, not
There's
at
a
all.
certain decorum and respect you have.
Right.
So that's the issue. It's like that turn off of like, wait, hold on, fam. Like, and then it gets to me even more trickier because when you talk about the inclusion of black culture, so sometimes like it's like the cat from Hot 97, fam. Like he killed a young black kid. He was a part of a racist mob that murdered Yusef Hawkins because he was about to buy a car that they knew was for sale in their neighborhood, and his black ass had no business being over there. And his black ass, who the fuck are you to buy this car and have this money?
Right.
And they just murdered him, bro. And he
Hold on.
and makes all his money.
He's the radio host of Hot 97.
He was a
Who?
I'll pull his name up.
You got
But,
how the fuck I never heard of this? I'd have heard of
but
Yusef
I
Hawkins.
can't remember his name. You've heard
I've
of
heard
him
of
before.
Yusef Hawkins for sure,
but I'll pull his name up. But the cat, I can't. It escapes me right now. But he my only point to this, I wasn't really even trying to give him that shine.
Right.
My whole thing is that you go seek refuge in black culture. Like you turn your life around allegedly, and even though you hate Negroes enough to murder a young black child,
you're gonna go make money off.
You went and made your whole existence,
off
and
the
you were
culture of us.
able. More importantly, this is an example to everybody, every creator that can hear my voice. This man was able to come amongst our space and dictate our success. Understand that. He wasn't on the sidelines. He had the ability to make you or break you at that radio station. And imagine the monies he made. Imagine the benefits his family received. What do you think he's telling his children about the very same black hip hop artists that they're getting their schools getting paid for from? You think these are things of? You think he's speaking highly of these people?
Not at all.
And we wonder how
over here getting money off these motherfuckers.
We wonder how we're in 2020 and we're still dealing with the same racism of the 60s. We have the same racial numbers and disproportionate numbers as when Martin Luther King was alive. And we're wondering how, and we're all dumb and like, oh my gosh, what's going on? It's 2020. The shit ain't never went nowhere.
Yeah, ain't nothing changed but the
date. It's just layered and morphed. And
ain't
so
nothing
now
changed but the date.
And now you have a whole bunch of white people that grew up akin to black people that aren't afflicted by any kind of racial bias or anything like that. They're able to see a good person for a good person and a scumbag for a scumbag. But unfortunately, the culture isn't held to their standard. So then they have to morph into a place where they understand that if you're going to hang out with Akeem and Dre, sometimes they're going to get into conversations where it might seem like they are going hard on white people.
Yeah, like we hate. And I've gotten to that argument a few times.
And that's not the case at all.
And it's like, yo, like my mom is fucking white. Like motherfuckers think I hate white people. And that's not the case at all. Like I don't hate white people. But I know the shit that's done by white people. I know the attitude that is had by a lot of older white people, and I'm not gonna fucking just forget that. Like I'm not gonna forget that and not speak on that. So motherfuckers gotta know if you feel uncomfortable, that kind of means like you might be part of the problem. If you're not uncomfortable, you're like, Here's the thing: if you have to say, "Oh, I don't do none of that," I'm not racist. You probably a racist. You know what I'm saying?
I wouldn't.
Because most motherfuckers I fuck most like white people that we know that we really fuck with that are really with the culture and really fuck with our culture. They've never had to defend themselves. They've never had to get in the conversation that's going on about white people and be like, "Hey, I'm white. I've never done that." No, they're gonna play the
Well,
background
no.
and be like, "Whatever."
What they
Like I know that's
understand,
not me.
what it is like they would have more of a. See, what I was just gonna say is we're talking about about ignorance,
Mm.
and I think that coming from a city like Brooklyn, New York, as a child, and then moving to Nevada, and then moving to Reno at one point in time and living there, where I'm thrust in a culture where I'm truly a minority. I'm in a majority of all these white people, and I had to learn how to adapt. And it wasn't always easy, fam. But I'll say this: what I've grown to learn is the afforded ignorance that a lot of people of the dominant race is allowed to have. Like, they don't really have to worry about what the system has been designed to do to others, that mutually excludes them. And although they can recognize that, yeah, I don't know, that guy kind of, it's the self identity. It's like, that's why it's dangerous to have a police force of 90% white men patrolling an area of 65% black and Hispanic, because they can't see their nephew in any young child. They can't see their little brother.
They don't see themselves in none
And
of these
every
motherfucking
family
kids.
has a brother that does a little drugs, a sister that's not really living a straight and narrow life, a nephew that's kind of rambunctious.
Hold on.
And no, I'm saying every family. No, listen to me. No, every
nah,
family.
they do. I'm just talking shit. Nah,
Every
you're
family has
absolutely
that,
right.
and so what happens is if you can't
I got
see
some
past
crazy ass cousins
if
out
you
there
can't
for
see
sure.
past the cultural lines and identify that, like, oh, I got a sister like that, oh, I got a cousin like that, she's not a threat, she's probably just not well, and you deal with her that way. If everybody in this community, this godforsaken community, that's nothing like your community, that if you shoot into a crowd or you accidentally shoot a kid, you're not shooting one of your kids' friends.
Right.
You
Yeah,
you're
you
not
don't got to worry about
So
none of that
it's
shit.
just like, it's no different from the attitude of Congress. Go look at how many men and women of Congress actually send their kids to war zones. And then ask yourself, why the fuck are these rich motherfucking majority white people, older, majority men, always trying to start some shit in the world and send my kids to a war zone? How many of you are sending your kid to that fucking war zone?
Hey, you know what? That brings me back to something about the debate.
Same
You know
mentality.
what kind of irritates the fuck out of me about like Donald Trump and his like campaign? It's like how much he brings up people to the shit that like parents of fallen soldiers and shit. The parents of the female POW that was killed. They I guess had flown them out and all that shit
Photo ops.
and photo opportunities and sound bites and able to say like, oh, they said if Donald Trump was in office, I feel like our daughter would have lived. Like
Which is
why
foolish.
don't these people see it for what it is?
Same
Like they
president
don't.
that allowed Russia to have bounties on our
Right.
soldiers.
They don't give a fuck about you. Like I don't understand how you guys just don't understand that part of it.
It's hurt.
Like I get it. I get that you're hurt, but there's many of fucking families out there that are hurt because their loved ones are dying overseas in wars that they're being fought.
How many of them have had the president of the United States reach out to them, manipulate their story, coerce their story, and divide them from basically the United States military, as to say, hey, your loved one fell victim in this way, but now you have a politician, a powerful president that's politicizing it and saying, hey, it's their fault. Hey, and he knows that a lot of this stuff that he's saying isn't factually true. But what he's doing is, he'll say it anyway, and it's just like throwing shit at the wall, man, and seeing whatever sticks. You know what I mean? And I think that's like the core of what Trump's political style is. I'm just gonna throw a bunch of shit at the wall and see what sticks. Oh, and if something gets a little too left, I'll just simply deny it. I don't give a fuck if you got me on audio our video saying it. Because how many times can you call me a liar? You can only call me a liar so many times before it doesn't have any stick no more. So that's my whole thing about that. And I just think we just need to stay woke on that. You seen Pence trying to do a little bit of that today too. You know, like someone was trying to really like, not only was he disrespecting the moderator, just talking through, but fact checked him. Like the motherfucker was just up there lying. He's a little more savvy than Trump, so he'd rather just talk about something else rather than just tell a bold-faced lie that you can fact check them on. And he's probably looking at his career after Trump. Let's get it twisted. Trump ain't running for Congress or no shit like this. Trump ain't gonna be an activist for nothing after this.
So something I got to say real quick is rest in peace to Kayla Mueller. That's her name. Like I'm not gonna let us just talk about her and not give her
rest
respect.
In peace, Kayla Mueller.
But it's just ridiculous.
What was
like,
her rank?
Let me see. Oh, you got it.
Not bad, bro.
Let me look it up.
Spot. I just wanted to give her the proper shout out. She's a military woman. She's a soldier. Rest in peace, man. Rest in peace to all our fallen soldiers, abroad and away, military and non-military.
Let's see, what does it say?
Sad.
It doesn't say her rank, but she was abducted by ISIS and then killed by ISIS. So yeah, I don't want to talk about her and not say her name, but and then he goes on to say in the same speech part of the speech, to not we're not gonna politicize the COVID. COVID shouldn't be politicized. Like we shouldn't politicize death, but right now you bringing her family to that debate is doing directly that.
Right.
You are politicizing death.
They're distasteful folks, man. Like, I'm not here to say that like Democrats are just better. What I'll say is this: is that there's good people in politics, but the system and the game is dirty. And I'm gonna hold true to this until someone proves me wrong, man. Like, people that fight on the side of good are typically weaker. I'm not saying that they're weaker because they're fighting for greater good. They're usually weaker.
Smaller numbers.
They're weaker and subdued in their tactics. They play with gloves on when they know the guy across the hall is coming for you cutthroat. Right. We bringing knives to gunfights type shit. Like,
you're fighting with 15-ounce boxing gloves.
Because
other niggas is fighting with
Kamala
5-ounce.
held her own, but this is not the typical foe. I feel like that the American people would forgive the Biden-Harris campaign if they took the gloves off a little bit and was a little rough around the edges and a little less status quo, apolitical, politically correct. Like, sometimes you just got to call a motherfucker a bold-faced lie to his face.
Straight up.
Hey, man, you're a fucking liar. That's what you are.
Call bullshit for what it is. Like, I feel like the Republicans.
Sometimes you got to look at a motherfucker and say, hey, man, why should we let you be the vice president when you're not even secure in your sexuality?
I feel like the Republicans.
Am I bugging?
Am
I bugging?
Nah, but I feel like the Republicans are like way more cutthroat about everything. And like Republicans, or not Republicans, Democrats want to be able to be like, we didn't stoop to their level. We're higher than that.
Hey, fam,
this is where
they're going to lose me. This is where they're going to lose me. And this is where they've lost a lot of people. This is where they're losing us. Is that, shout out to the AOCs of the world, because they represent that within the party and the anti that within the party. But what I'm saying is they're going to lose us because your rich ass, while y'all over there getting fat and getting rich, and yeah, you're on the right side of the argument. Yeah, we agree. I'm tired of agreeing, man. Where the actions? Where the tangible actions at? And let me tell you this, before we go any further. If Donald Trump walks out of the White House and is not immediately put in handcuffs,
the Democrats aren't shit.
I'm done.
They're
with all
weak
of
as
them,
fuck.
fam. I'm done with all of
Here's
them.
the other thing though. It's like
I'm done with all of them,
you
fam.
said this earlier, and I kind of now thinking about it and about what I'm about to say, I'm kind of gonna agree with you. So it's like Donald Trump essentially took his ball and went home.
Right.
We're
Man.
not having any more corona relief talks until after the presidential election. And I feel like if Nancy Pelosi and them really, you said this and I agree. I can't say that I feel like, so you said this and I definitely agree with it. It's like if you're not pressing the issue, you're not ready to fucking you're not ready to take them gloves off and press the issue about this shit because you're not hurting. Nobody on that Democratic side
Fam.
is hurting.
And
Nobody's hurting like us.
Hurting.
Like personally, me and this nigga, you don't suffer and feel hardships like us. So of course you can be like, all right, well, fuck it then. We'll wait till after the election. We gonna win anyway.
Man.
You know what I'm saying? So, but it's like
Niggas don't got time
y'all
for that
don't
shit,
suffer
man.
in any way from this shit, like at all.
Dog.
Like you're not suffering right
and
now.
This is the thing though. This is what Donald Trump and them would do. They would go if this is tables turned.
Right.
Donald Trump and them would go after whatever it is that the Democrats held dear. And they would gash it, slash it, and hold it hostage. Like, nigga, you're not getting none of this
until you
talk
talk about this
bill.
motherfucking bill and get it in.
But when it comes to fighting for the majority of people in this country, the very people that see, this is the difference between poor people and wealthy people. Wealthy people, from the highest spectrum of wealth to the lowest spectrum of wealth, which is dubbed that middle class bullshit that they made up. You have the option to pay your taxes.
Yeah, that's the
everybody
craziest
below.
Shit ever.
Everybody,
no,
hold on, listen to me, fam.
Ever.
Everybody below. Guess what happens when it comes to tax time?
We get
that shit comes out of their check before they get their dough.
Yeah, we can't. We don't have no option to that.
All the rest of us, if you live in a system, if you're working in that type of system where you go and you work and you're getting a check cut to you, minus your taxes, just understand it's a lot of pimping and hoeing going on in America. Because certain
straight
people,
up. That is straight up pimping and
people
hoeing
that are
right
not
there.
People that are not even out of your atmosphere economically, because of their career choice, because of whatever moves they made, their mentality, they're not doing that. So what I'm saying is this: there might be a school teacher, a social worker, even a cop, within your area to where you live at. You're getting your checks pro rate, like, here, this is what you get. We taking our shit off the top. And they're going to work and they're getting paid and they're going to have the responsibility of paying their taxes at the end of the year, or making sure they keep their taxes, in good standing. That allows you more freedom. That allows you more tax loopholes. That allows you a lot more write-offs, And I heard a billionaire say one of the key things to wealth is writing shit off. So always put yourself in a situation to be able to write the most things off. Of course, there's a lot more to that. My only point is we don't even look at these things, fam.
Right.
And we got a president that when he fucked off billions of dollars, this government, because he was wealthy, this government gave him a pass on paying taxes because guess what? They got us suckers. They got suckers like us. And what did he say in his first presidential debate when Hillary Rodham Clinton tried to call him out on not paying taxes? He said, that's because I'm smart.
So kind of
This nigga paid less than $1,500 in taxes in 2 years.
Kind of off subject before we get fact checked. Kayla Mueller was not a soldier.
She was a reporter?
She was an American human rights activist and a humanitarian aid worker from Prescott, Arizona. She was taken captive after leaving the Doctors Without Borders hospital. So, before y'all fact check us, and we're way off base.
Still condolences to her family.
Condolences to Amy Mueller.
But I want to say this.
Mueller.
Since we're at that wrinkle, let me add this. And I don't want to be insensitive. I don't mean this to be insensitive. But we as a people of this nation have to really start reevaluating what we're allowing our government, a few men and women that have proven to not be the most honest, that have proven to have cohabitated a culture of dishonesty and scamming and criminal activity and privilege, right? Misrepresentation. Why do they get to decide where our loved ones, where our military goes and hearts? What if everybody that was registered to vote got to vote, had to vote before the president and the Congress had to, what if the American people got to fucking vote? Because we're the ones sending our loved ones, right? And all I'm saying is this to that young lady, that there is, to me, it's no different than that so-called Christian young man that wanted to go to the last free black people on earth and Christianize them. He was met with their spear, fam. And if you study history, there's a long history of Africans killing Christians or killing European Christians with their spear. Like, because first comes the Bible and then comes slavery in some shape or form. And they were old enough and tribal enough to understand that. These people have been given like a political asylum in a way that you're not even allowed to cohabitate with them. It's illegal to go bother them. And this guy, because of a false ideal that was taught to him, he believed it enough to where he felt like Jesus told him to go to those people. When, if you study their history, they were documented before the story of Christ. So truth is in power. And I feel bad for that young man because he came over there with American football and the Bible, and they was just like, nah, we seen this before, fam.
Ain't none of that going
and stay
on.
away from us because we're not really able to be. Our immune systems don't work like that with your immune system. So
Yeah, we're
you
not
stay the
we're
fuck
not
away from us.
vaccinated. None of that shit.
Yeah, you gonna try
ever.
to you wipe out our whole tribe over here.
With a cold, with a
bro.
American common cold.
Get the out of here.
All right, so as we always do, we encourage you to
Real quick,
educate yourself.
I just want to finish up that point so I don't leave the listeners. I was only saying that story to correlate with this young lady. Like, the Middle East is fucked up, and there's a lot of political entanglements, and there's a lot of mistruths and a lot of propaganda. I don't feel like any of our beloved American citizens that don't have military training. I think we gotta kind of like pay attention to like outside of the world. You mentioned BBC News and international news for lack of bias, right? And lack of corporate interest and influence. We have to educate ourselves, man, of what our government is doing too. And not be so blindly like, okay, well, they said we're liberating those people, I want to go help. Because it's a lot going on, and I think that like that young lady might have been blindsided. You know what I mean? And people like her, you hear of them being blindsided. Right. They're going over there to journalistically share the stories with the world, or they're going over there because they feel like they can help and aid. And it's just like, but you don't really have the whole story of what we're doing over there to where you can properly gauge how the interaction of the people will be with you. Just because you don't have a military uniform on doesn't mean that they don't see you just in the same vein as they see those soldiers that are raping their daughters, that are murdering and robbing, and that are just committing, atrocities sometimes in their communities. So it's just something to think about, man. Let's demand more from this nation. Let's stop telling our kids because they don't like school, they can go to the military and become potentially a statistic for the wealthy.
My kids are not allowed to even think about going to the fucking military.
Shout out to everyone that has served in the military. Shout out to my father, my grandfather.
My grandfather, my father, both were in the military.
But yeah, it's something to think about. I think that even a lot of men and women of the military would say that America owes more to these people.
So
that's my take on it.
Like we always do, like I tried to say before for this motherfucker cut. No, I'm just fucking with you. Educate yourself. Educate yourself on everything in your community, from your governors, your mayors, to your councilmen, to your councilwomen, to your judges, to your DAs, your AGs, sheriffs. All that shit matters. All those positions of power, chief of police, all that shit
How we
matters.
say, we got to make being intellectual, intelligent, and politically astute cool again.
I bet
It's the only way this shit
you know what the
works.
fucked up part about that? I bet if all these Instagram models were very astute and very politically smart, a lot more of these motherfucking young men out here would be astute.
Well,
And
I would say
because
this.
they could motivate them to vote. Like, I'm a twerk for Biden.
I would
Go
say
educate.
be more.
I'm
I said
talking shit.
no, I feel you, but I think at the end of the day, even just more activity.
But
A lot of young these chicks and shit. Like if you really follow their stuff,
but you know,
they do be posting some shit.
I kind
sometimes.
of picked them out. That's kind of unfair. I'm not picking on you, but all social media influencers, all people with any type of platform of thousands to millions of followers, all of you
I can say this:
should be.
I'm seeing more engagement from people that you just like name
Oh,
than in the past.
but
But
like,
you're right.
let's
You're
talk
right
about
though.
the
It needs
one
to be
nigga that
more.
you showed me last night buying the Lambo truck over here trying to fight the other nigga, Pretty Boy Fredo, and
No names.
both these niggas
No
got
names.
millions of followers, millions of followers on YouTube, and it's like you're teaching, and it goes to this: you're teaching motherfuckers the wrong shit to me, like to an
Bro,
extent. Like, okay, you're teaching them like you hustle hard enough, you do this, but there's also other, like, that's what I mean. Use a lot more of us need to be using our
I think that we
platforms
sound old.
to educate.
I think we sound old when we start critiquing those kind of young dudes because I think their culture within our culture, the young bucks, understand that that shit is strictly entertainment and for the views and for the gram and to run the streams up. We don't come from that world.
No, but I get it. But
Like,
why not? You could do every once in a while some serious shit.
but I mean, I'm not gonna say that they don't. I don't follow it
And you
enough to
said I
know.
sound, oh motherfucker, I'm getting old.
Well, it's not even about that. What I'm saying is about um, these generations are starting to overlap faster than ever, and hip hop is getting older. It's multi generational now for the first time ever. So a part of this shit is a new wave of the culture, and you can look at it in the essence of battle rap or just rap in general. Just because you said it, don't mean that you gotta do it, right? We want these young bucks to get away from that mentality. And so it's just like now you take a kid that don't rap, but you put a camera in front of him, and he goes and pretends that he bought a house, or he goes and pretend that he had um, four girls over and tried to have a threesome with him, and it went bad. Like this is called content creation and a new wave to some of these kids. So when I look
No,
at some of those cats,
I'm not
no, I'm
saying
not
what
speaking
they're
to you
doing is
directly.
wrong.
No, I'm
Like,
not speaking to
they're
you directly.
do whatever you do to get your
I'm just
bread.
tying in the fact that we do this sometimes as people, man. We'll be like, oh well, they don't speak up enough. Or what they talking about some bullshit. And we right.
I'm not
Two
saying
things could be right.
as much to like speak up, but just get. They should be more on their shit like that. You know what I'm saying? I feel like all of us as content creators should be way more involved in our communities. Even me myself personally.
I can honestly say that I would argue that more that's where there's a buzz for content creation because most of these cats that are successful in content, nigga, when's the last time you seen a motherfucker, anybody from the Fresh Prince of Bel Air show say, hey, yo, you motherfuckers got us a number one show, nigga. So what we gonna do is come to this spot right here and we're giving away this. You hear all these cats do that. Now you can
No, I
say,
do
hold
that,
on,
but
let me finish. You can act, a lot of people can dismiss that and be like, oh, they're doing that because that feeds the views and that feeds the, the thing, which is true. But what I'm saying is there's more interaction with community on this side of entertainment than any other side of entertainment. You feel me? Like there's superstar content creators that are doing numbers like pop artists that are being pushed, right? And they're way more approachable
okay,
for the most
okay.
part.
So
They're like,
let me rephrase it. Let me rephrase. Like, I would say, like, the content creators out there that are doing like just silly dumbass shit, like the ones who are faking the funk about buying the shit that they buy, and it's those ones that I'm not most I'm gonna say most content creators are woke
Hmm?
to some extent, very much so.
In which way? You mean like in the way of let me just say this. Let me ask you in the form of saying it to see if I get what you mean. Because I would agree with you if you're saying towards like by doing this here, there's something revolutionary to you.
Yes, that's what I
Okay.
mean.
All right, bet.
I mean,
Bet. I agree. I agree
because
with
to a
that then.
point, it's like you've taken the chance to do something that nobody else had done to this point. You know, the early ones who did it. You feel what I'm saying? Like,
No, facts.
um,
I agree with you on that. I agree. It's revolutionary to.
but the reason I say like for these people to be more politically astute is because these people are the ones more in our kids' face, like in my kids' face.
But think
They're
about
the
this.
ones on the YouTube. They're the ones on the phones. They're the
Right.
ones on the everything. Like they're the
But
ones
think
that
about
are
think
getting
about this
followed
though.
by hella kids that are like,
I'm gonna shoot him some bell in this regard because it's this generation that to me lit a flame that I had never seen in my existence here. Um, After George Floyd's death, it was a lot of young kids, man, and like a lot of what I mean by this is like a lot of stuff. Some of these young content creators, all they had to do is post what a march was gonna be.
no, no,
You
I'm
feel
not.
me?
I'm not. No, when I mean like kids, I mean like kids my age, not my age. Kids my kids' age.
Oh, okay,
Because the
word.
generation, no, the generation of adults now, young adults, are woke as fuck.
Right. Okay. I
They're
get.
all
Okay.
out there
Okay.
marching.
No,
They're
that's
all
what.
out there. I'm
That's
not.
all.
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm
I get
talking
you.
about because like
I
the
could dig
dude you
that.
showed me, the dude that he wants to fight, a lot of his followers are like 14 and under because he started as he streamed YouTube 2K. He used to play 2K and stream it. That
No,
was
I remember
what
you was telling me.
he
You put me
started
on.
as. So it's like a
So
lot of his
obviously you're gonna
fan
have
base
children, a
is
child.
young.
Yeah.
So it's like you kind of got to teach the young kids like, yeah, it's
Okay.
cool. I made all this money.
So I
I
get
did
what you're
all
saying
this.
now.
You know what I'm saying?
I
But
get what you're
we
saying now.
gotta we gotta do this too.
No, I see where you coming from.
You know what I'm saying?
Now. Yeah, I do. I see where you coming
No,
from. Now.
young adults are woke.
You're not talking about the thing.
No.
You're talking about certain individuals that basically have literally like become millionaires
Off of kids
the
14 and
manipulation
younger.
of kids.
Yes.
Because let's face it, a 19, 16 to 21-year-old is always cool to a fucking 14 and under year old.
No doubt.
And it's not easy to like look cool to them and you know have
You're
them
cussing,
looking up
you're
to
edgy,
you.
you know what I'm saying?
Right. So I get that. If that's how you got into this game, then yeah, I feel like you would definitely like owe a certain level of, or you know of responsibility. You know what I mean? To those that truly support you and stuff like that. But then again, man, shit, it's the age old question. It's like, is that a parental thing or not? You know? Bad news?
No, I just want a different angle.
Okay, bet.
Edit point.
Yeah, it's all good. I'm starting to realize that like we could just stop talking. We don't gotta force it during these edit points.
Just wanted a wider angle. So I say all that to say this: we get out, educate yourself, get out there, fucking vote. You know what I'm saying? Like it, the change, the revolution don't start if we're all at home just talking shit about it on Facebook. If we're just acknowledging it on Facebook, that's not revolution. Revolution is go out and find go out and try and find the next black or the next person of color community leader or mayor or governor or city
See, I'm glad you
councilman
said
or
that,
woman.
man,
Go
because-
find that person.
No, I was gonna say that. Like, it's not. It's every time motherfuckers to vote since the fucking 50s, 60s, right? And they've been like putting this thing on voting, like voting's gonna free everyone. But this is what I'm saying. If we, because we don't all have the same mentality, moral, fabric, you know, and sensibilities. I just think that. I think it's important, like just as much as people need to know to go out there and vote, fam. I think it's equally important for cats to just get engaged, be active. Like you could be the next senator.
Yeah, if
You could be the next.
if you
You know what I
can't
mean?
find that person in your community, that person might be you.
Facts. And
Do
we
it.
got to do
Try and
that.
do it
We
yourself.
got to make that type of shit like dope again, man.
But
Because you
don't
need those
do
type of people.
don't do no stupid shit like that fucking woman that kidnapped herself. That black, you heard about that black woman that kidnapped herself to help herself in her mayoral race where she was at?
I don't even know if I want to talk about that shit on our platform. Nigga, that bitch sound dumb as hell.
Nah, what I'm saying is don't cheapen.
Obviously, niggas ain't
Don't-
gonna do that.
don't-
That's a one-off, nigga. I
No,
feel
but I'm
you on
saying
that.
don't do nothing like that and cheapen and take away from the glory of a black mayor in your city.
I mean, no,
You know what I'm
facts.
saying?
I mean, facts. But I mean, she's a mayors and
That
shit.
shit was mad crazy,
Right.
yo.
Mayors and shit like that, bro. Like, I don't want to shit on these people, but at the same time, you're only as powerful as your will, I guess, as your spine. If you just gonna get that position to be a black face, then you do more harm than you do good. So